What's happening, y'all? This is Andrew from Mirror Music 99, and we're going to do a little something different today. This is going to be part of a series that kind of continues with the English teacher bar breakdowns, called Literature You Can't Teach in School, because there are so many good songs and so many good pieces of literature, or things that I would call good literature, that there's no way I could get away with teaching and as my real job as a public high school teacher. The first episode of this is going to be on NaS's "I Gave You Power," which is, I know jumping in the deep end of this of this thing, because it's one of the most iconic songs in NaS's catalog. It's one of the most iconic songs that's ever written. Also, before we get too much into this, this is going to be like a first take reaction. I mean, I'm obviously familiar with the song, but I haven't broken it down. I don't have notes hidden somewhere where I'm just kind of we're kind of going back and forth with notes. So this is just what I see as I see it. I'm going to talk about it both as what the points that he's making are, and how he accomplishes that, right? Like the literary devices that he's actually using in the text. One final note before we get started. There seems to be a long and storied history of YouTube videos, reaction videos to the song that are basically white man suddenly realizes that he's talking about a gun, or that he really is a gun. That's not what this is. I'm aware of that. So if that's what you're looking for, sorry. All right, as an English teacher and an analyst, I do think it's important to read aloud the poem, lyrics, whatever. Obviously, given the circumstances, I'm not going to be reading the N-word. Obviously, I'm going to leave it on the page because I do want to give you the full effect of the poem/song, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm going to replace it with people, because that will, the rhythm of that word is the same anyway, so it doesn't take away from, or doesn't take too much away from the meaning of the thing. So here we go. I've got this broken down into verses essentially, and choruses and stuff like that. So I'll kind of talk through it as I see it, as we go. So this is NaS's "I Gave You Power." Damn, look how motherfuckers use a person. Just use me for whatever the fuck they want. I don't get to say shit and just grab me, just do what the fuck they want. Sell me, throw me away. People just don't give a fuck about a person like me, right? Like I'm a gun. Shit, it's like I'm a motherfucking gun. I can't believe this shit. Obviously, you can tell immediately why I could never get away with this in a Southern public high school classroom. So I might put an NSFW, or not safe for schools tag on this too. I've seen some cold nights and bloody days. They grab me, bullets spray. They use me wrong, so I sing this song till this day. My body is cold steel, for real. I was made to kill, that's why they keep me concealed. Under car seats, they sneak me in clubs, been in the hand of mad thugs. They feed me when they load me with mad slugs. 17 precisely, one in my head. They call me Desert Eagle, semi-auto with lead. I'm going to come back to this. I'm 7 inches, 4 pounds, been through so many towns, Ohio to Little Rock to Canarsie, living harshly, beat up and battered. They pull me out. I watch as people scattered, making me kill, but what I feel, it never mattered. When I'm empty, I'm quiet, finding myself fiending to be fired. A broken safety, people place me in shelves, under beds, so I beg for my next owner to be a thoroughbred, keeping me full up with hollow heads. Okay, so we have this part up here is like the intro, kind of, and this is the first verse. Things I notice immediately are here in this little intro. There's the idea that goes throughout the whole poem, the whole song, of being used, right? Guns are literally used, obviously, but NaS is using it both ways, being used as in being abused, right? He's used in a way, if you're talking about somebody being used, you're usually talking about somebody taking advantage of them, right? You're usually talking about them being used in a way that they would not necessarily want to be used, and I think we'll see that throughout this this poem song too. I mean, he doesn't get to say anything. He just grabs me, do whatever they want, right? Um, and obviously, the theme, or one of the things that is going throughout this, is about I gave you power. Like, I, being the gun, gave you power that you didn't have already. There's a lot of commentary in there, obviously, it seems, that is about the person who's holding the gun feeling powerless, right? And they have to hold the gun to feel powerful. There's that going on as well. Like, so this line right here, people don't just give a fuck about a person like me. I mean, that's social commentary, obviously, but, and then he goes, like I'm a gun, right? This is almost like a realization, right? So the thing, I mean, this is obviously personification. You guys know what personification is if you're listening to this video, I assume. And you're interested in this song. Personification is giving human characteristics to inanimate objects, right? Which is what the rest of the song does. It is giving human characteristics to a weapon, right? But this beginning part right here is so important, I think, to the song, because that's the part that's being spoken as NaS, right? Or as a human speaker. And it's almost like the speaker is having a revelation, like where he goes, I'm a gun, like I'm realizing this as I'm saying it. Yeah. So because people don't care about me, it's like I'm a gun, right? So it is personification in the sense that in the rest of the song, he's going to be giving the ways in which he is a gun. He's given like human characteristics to the gun, right? But we can't not notice the other twist of this, right? Which is set up here and is finished at the end. Which that the fancy word for this is called metonymy. That's the English teacher word for it. That is taking an item and using it to represent a person or a whole entire thing. It's like the example that comes to mind is like when you call like a faceless businessman at the top of a company, call him a suit, right? That's a metonymy. So he's personifying the gun, giving human characteristics to the gun, but he's also doing it the other way around. He is using the gun to represent himself. Does that make sense? He's doing both of those things. And I've heard a lot of people talk about the personification in this song, but not anybody talk about that too. There's, as with most NaS things that I've discovered, there are lots of layers to this. I want to make a special note of the one in my head part. I mean, obviously the one in my head works on like several different levels. I mean, the second verse starts up with comparing the gun to a penis too, right? And so it has that that not joke, it's not a joke, but that reference, right? The head. The literal meaning of that line here is one in my head, like inside the gun, right? That is part of the gun's anatomy, so to speak. But obviously somebody, I mean, those of you, I assume nobody's watching this video that hasn't already heard the song and wants to hear a breakdown of it. But the end of it ends with somebody getting shot in the head too. So one in the head kind of is I guess you call it foreshadowing, right? It's the beginning of the metaphor that's going to come all the way back around at the end. Now we have the hook. How you like me now? I go blow. It's the shit that moves crowds, making every ghetto foul. I might have took your first child, scarred your life, or crippled your style. I gave you power. I made you buck wild. How you like me now? I go blow. It's that shit that moves crowds, making every ghetto foul. I might have took your first child, scarred your life, or crippled your style. I gave you power. I made you buck wild. Always I'm in some shit. My abdomen is the clip, the barrel is my dick uncircumcised. Pull my skin back and cock me. I bust off when they unlock me. Results of what happens to people shock me. I see people bleeding, running from me in fear. Stunningly, tears fall down the eyes of these so-called tough guys. For years I've been used in robberies, giving people heart to follow me, placing peoples in graves, funerals made because I was sprayed. I was laid in a shelf. Oh, I love that because it goes back to this too, right? In a shelf with a grenade, met a wrecked up tech with numbers on his chest that say 5209 385 and 0. Had a serial defaced, hoping one day police would place where he came from, a name or some sort of person to claim him. Tired of murdering, made him want to be a plain gun. But yo, I had some other plans. Like the next time the beef is on, I make myself jam right in my owner's hand. So there's a lot going on here too. This is the chorus. It's a repeated part, right? So this is using subtle, what's called onomatopoeia. Where the sound of the word imitates the sound that's being made, like bang or smack or whatever, right? They're percussive words that the definition of the word is the same as the meaning of the word. The blow is one of those, like, because that's mimicking the sound the gun makes when it goes off, right? But the subtle thing that he does in the chorus is he echoes that sound. So if blow is the sound a gun makes, he's not just doing it once, right? You have it there, kind of there. I mean, so it repeats again there. So it's like, 10 or 12 times in that chorus where it's almost like it's going off, right? That's the part of the metaphor, and that's how it builds, right? It's not just, and that's one of the geniuses of NaS. It's not just that one time it happens over and over and over and over again. And that kind of amplifies the feeling of the song, right? Obviously, we have this as some literal personification where the parts of the gun are parts of the body, right? But he also goes here, like fall down the eyes of these so-called tough guys. So you're going from like gun parts as human parts to like it's referencing like actual parts of actual humans, right? It's got both of those things. So there's lots of stuff going on here. But this right here is where, if you were talking about a sonnet or just a regular poem, you call this the turn. Where, whoa, that was awful. Turn, Turn. So where the great poems and great songs too kind of tilt a little bit, right? You're going in one direction where he's set up, this this gun has human characteristics. Okay, you've got that conceit, you're going with that, you're moving forward with that. And then it kind of tilts a little bit, right? Because we think of, generally speaking, in the wider culture, guns as being unemotional, right? The gun itself is not doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have feelings, it doesn't have I think what he uses at the beginning, it was cold steel, right? It's just a machine, right? It doesn't have any emotions. But this, you start getting more and more emotional content as this goes along, right? And this right here mirrors and what you're going to see in the third verse too, mirrors that opening, damn, like the people will just use me for whatever they want, right? And being kind of that gives you like unwillingness, right? I make myself jam right in my owner's hand. That obviously is very dangerous for the owner, but is less dangerous for the person that's being aimed at. But there's so much going on there. It's giving the gun, the person, some kind of autonomy, right? the gun, that's where the gun is the first place it's making a choice for itself, not just doing what the owner wants them to do, which fits with the larger metonymy, the metaphor, right? Where the idea is that the people have a choice, right? I mean, you there's so many songs in the hip hop canon that even I know, go back to Children's Story and beyond, probably, that where it feels like the protagonist of the story doesn't really have a choice in the matter. They're just kind of being pulled along for the ride by the circumstances that they're in. Um, and I think at some level, Nas is arguing both that there is a choice somehow, right? That there is that you don't have to be used via this metaphor, right? You don't have to be used unless you choose to be. All right, this is the third verse. Yo, weeks went by and I'm surprised, still stuck in the shelf with all the things that an outlaw hides besides me. Ooh, that rhyme there too, that's nice. So besides me, it's bullets, 2 vests, and then a 9. There's a grenade in a box and that tech that kept crying 'cause he ain't been cleaned in a year. He's rusty, it's clear he's about to fall to pieces 'cause of his murder career. That's definitely a metonymy. Like, is using that as a metaphor for a person too. Um, he's about to fall to pieces because of his murder career. I can hear somebody coming in, open the shelf, his eyes bubbling. He said it was on. I felt his palm, troubled him. Rhymed there too, right? Shaking, somebody stomped him out. His dome was aching. He placed me on his waist. The moment I've been waiting, my creation was for blacks to kill blacks. It's gats like me that accidentally go off. Ooh, see, you have that rhyme there, right? Blacks and accidentally, you have that rhyme in there too. Go off, making people memories. But this time, it's fun to have memory. Not fun. It's another layer of metaphor to have memories go along with the out of my head stuff too, right? But this time it's done intentionally. He walked me outside, saw this cat, cocked me back, said, "Remember me." He pulled the trigger, but I held on. This is the gun having its own opinions, right? It felt wrong, knowing people is waiting in hell for him. He squeezed harder, I didn't budge. Sick of the blood, sick of the thugs, sick of wrath of the next man's grudge. What the other kid did was pull out, no doubt. A newer me in better shape. Before he lit out, he led the chase. My owner fell to the floor. His wig split so fast I didn't know he was hit. It's over with. And this happens also at the end of the song, right? It's over with. He's kind of saying the end a little bit. Heard mad people screaming, people running, cops is coming. Now I'm happy until I felt somebody else grab me. Damn. So there's a thing in poetry. There's plenty of closed forms, they call them, like sonnets and villanelles and whatever, where the first line of the poem is also the last line. The Damn also does that. It takes you back around to the first line as well. And it fits because this, now I'm happy until I felt somebody else grab me. I mean, that is coming full circle as well, right? It's the story that we've got going on in this whole song is a story of a gun slash person in the metaphor who is going along with the stuff that's going on around them. They're kind of being pulled along into situations they don't really want to be in, but they're going along with it anyway until they finally get fed up and say, "No, I'm not doing this anymore," and they get somebody killed, and it all starts. So then it all starts over again. Is the sad part, right? It's the part that, I mean, all of it's sad, but the part where it feels the most hopeless, right? Like this, in the metaphor, the gun is never going to be able to get out of this cycle, right? They're never going to be able to release themselves because there's always going to be somebody else out there pulling them in to the situation. Obviously, cannot comment on that experience because that has not been my lived experience, but that seems like the metaphor or the argument that he's making. Man, this is, I mean, I'll talk about some more stuff too, I guess. Um, there's lots of head metaphors too. I mean, the what we talked about in the first verse, you have the head here, um, and so there's lots of other ones too, in the wig split, right? So the head is obviously the center of thought, right? And you have a gun now in this, or in the metaphor of the song, where it's coming to life, so to speak, right? It is becoming aware of its surroundings, and in that way is able to make some decisions for themselves. And I guess what you see in the song is that all the decisions are bad, right? Not they are making bad decisions, but all the decisions that are possible to be made, they all have negative consequences, right? Um, and I mean, there's so much going on here. You have the idea that the person carrying the gun has no power, because I mean the whole song is "I gave you power," right? Has no power unless they have the gun, um, which is sad. That they don't feel like they have any power in the. I mean, to me, power um, in this song, it does mean like literal, like strength power, like muscle, like power, like ability to defend themselves power. But I think more importantly is to stand in for the word agency, um, as in like it allows somebody, or the person thinks anyway, that it allows them to make their own decisions, right? It gives them the freedom to make their own way in life, as opposed to having it decided for them. Um, but I mean, if we're following this metaphor all the way down, we have to say that the argument here, right, at the very end, is that there is no way out. That there will always be somebody else. There will always be something else. There will always be another hand to pick you up, so to speak. All right, y'all. I know I climbed in at the deep end of the pool here. I hope that made sense. I hope that was helpful. Also, make sure you understand. I want to make sure I say it out loud again. This was just like a one take thing. This is not edited. This is not, I don't have any like notebooks or notes or hidden anywhere. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. So this is just kind of how I would start thinking about breaking down a song like this. I know this is an intense one, but people have been asking me to talk about "I Gave You Power" for a while, to do a reaction to it. I may still do that, but I also felt it was kind of disingenuous to do an "I Gave You Power" reaction when I kind of knew the primary conceit of the song. So, and I don't want to lie to people on here. So I thought I would just do a little lyrical breakdown. Obviously, there's more to it. There's this video, which is probably already in the 25 to 30 minute range, could probably get close to an hour if we were like breaking down stuff in super depth. But so maybe we'll get into that sometime. There are plenty of other songs in the world. Also, shout out to NaS. This is an incredible song. You all, if you have made it, especially if you made it this far in the video, you know that. So shout out to NaS. We appreciate your craft. And this has been an episode of Literature You Can't Teach in the Classroom. So take care, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.